It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hi, my name is Crystal Rochelle, and I'm a member of Teens in Action, and I'm your host. Our guest host this time is Santosh.
Hi, my name is Santosh Desai, and I'm chairman of the Burbank Youth Board. Teens in Action is a program produced by teens for teens and deals with issues that concern us most.
In this show, we are going to talk about drugs and alcohol, why teens use them, what are the effects if they do, and how someone can get help.
Since this is a program devoted to teens, we decided to send some of our reporters out and find out why teens really do use drugs and alcohol. Take a look at what we found.
Roll tape.
Why do you think teens today are doing drugs or alcohol?
Peer pressure.
Because they're bored. Because of their friends.
It's because they have nothing better to do and they're bored and stuff.
I don't know, I guess it makes them feel good, I guess.
Just trying to look for an outlet or peer pressure.
What do you think is the most common drug?
Pot. Marijuana.
Tobacco.
Why?
It's easy to get and everyone has it.
Because you see everybody doing it and it's the most known.
Because you can get it real fast and easily.
Today we're here with Amber, Peter, and Ryan, and our outspoken question is, in elementaries and in high schools, they have drug programs, drug awareness programs they teach us the consequences and the effects of drugs. And our question is, do these programs or these classes, do they really work? So what would you say about that, Ryan?
I would say no, they don't really work because in some cases, some kids, they don't really give a good example of why you shouldn't take these drugs or why you shouldn't drink alcohol, why you shouldn't do this and that. But then again, the kids still don't understand. They're not comprehending what is really right for you or what you're doing right. They're just telling you what you shouldn't do, and really, kids don't listen to what you have to say. They just do and follow their own mind.
You say that we should show them real life people and people that have experienced it and have had bad influences. What would you say to the kids that would say, that will never happen to me, or how could they be like that? That will never happen to me. That's impossible.
Have people of all different ages and colors and all different types, saying this happened to me, because the reality of it is that the results are all going to be the same no matter what kind of person you are.
Like at some of the DARE programs, they should bring in someone that has a problem or a disability from taking drugs. And then some children might look like, man, I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be that way. I don't want to have a problem.
When you want people to come, would you have them more come in an approach to scare them or to teach them?
Well, I don't think that scaring people is the answer, but the truth is scary. So by telling the truth, I think that, it may scare some people, because the truth about it is it's not pretty.
All right, so basically we've agreed that these programs don't work, but there could be some programs that do work. We just need to try a little bit harder and we can pretty much get there.
Wow, I think it's amazing how teens think that they could get drugs so easily.
I'm just glad most teens know the physical effects of using a drug like marijuana.
I agree. Well, coming up, we have one teen's inspiring story of addiction and recovery. You don't want to miss that.
60% of teenagers in drug treatment programs are there because of marijuana.
I used to play football, but I had to quit. That was something I lost over drugs. Once you get into addiction, you never will be the same. It feels like you're in a desert and you just need a big cup of water, but you can't have it, basically. Drugs are the worst thing. It's the hardest thing to ever quit. It was the hardest thing in my life I've ever had to do. I just feel like a ghost, like not alive.
It's the worst feeling in the world, knowing that you have to have a chemical to make you happy or make you feel like you're alive. I lost my family, my friends. I had no reaction to anything unless I was on a drug. I feel like I was one of the worst people that walked on this planet. It's not worth it.
Welcome back to Teens in Action. Our next story could be about your brother or even your best friend. Our reporter, Vladimir Zarian, sat down with Jordan to talk about some of his experiences in dealing with drugs and alcohol.
Thank you, Jordan, for agreeing to share your story with us.
Pleasure.
Tell me about your life growing up. What kind of family did you have?
My early childhood was more than I could ask for. It was amazing. There was never a lack of love in my house. We always had enough. We never went without.
Where did you begin to use alcohol and drugs, and why did you use them?
I think I was 12 or 13 the first time. And I thought I was so cool and so old and so mature having my own glass of wine.
You told us about use of alcohol. What about drugs?
It was something that older kids did, and it seemed really cool to me.
Why did you use them?
I think in the beginning, most people, at least for me, I know this is true. It's just curiosity. I gained a lot of friends real quickly. I was always the kid who had it.
How did your family and friends react to you when you started using drugs?
My family, in the beginning, they had no idea. They wouldn't have known. I was very good at lying and manipulating and hiding it from them.
How do you think family and friends could help someone who's showing signs of drug use?
For parents, I think it's absolutely necessary and absolutely acceptable to drug test your kids. I think open lines of dialogue are absolutely necessary for a parent-child relationship, at least one that's healthy.
So you said you started with alcohol and marijuana. What made you go on to hard drugs?
I liked getting high the first time I got high, so I did it again. You know, as you eat a hamburger, I love a good hamburger, I'm gonna go there and have another hamburger. I talk a lot to the kids that I work with and, you know, my own recovery about fixing feelings. You know, the whole vicious cycle about using drugs and you feel horrible about it. But because you feel horrible, you use more drugs. Because you use more drugs, you feel even more horrible. Because you feel even more horrible, you use even more drugs. And so that vicious cycle starts going.
Looking back, did anyone give you advice about the dangers of using drugs that you wish you would have listened to?
Wish I would have listened to all of it. You know, everybody in my life gave me advice. You know, school assemblies saying, you know, telling me about the dangers of drugs. My parents keep telling me about the dangers of drugs. Friends would always tell me, you know, Jordan, you need to slow down on your drinking. Yeah, I wish I listened to a lot of it. You know, almost all of it. I think my life would have taken a big change.
Tell us about the day you were taken from your house and what happened to you in Utah.
My parents said, Jordan, we want you to get sober. We think that if you get drugs out of your system, we truly believe that you will make the choice to live a clean and sober life. And they were gonna have me do it on my own, or they were gonna do it for me. And that, I mean, they were just truly terrified for my life. What happened was I said, no way, I'm not going. And so about 4:30 in that morning, two huge guys came in my room, dragged me to the car, took me to the airport, sat on a plane with me to Utah, escorted me to, you know, 12 hours away from the city to a wilderness program. I detoxed there. I was using heroin for that past month, and I detoxed there, but I couldn't let anybody know because of my, that false pride and the false ego. It was hell. I hated every second of it for at least for the first half of my stay there. It was camping. It was camping and hiking and therapy, and that's all it was.
After you left the program in Utah, did you join in any other programs?
My parents put me in an outpatient program called the Insight. They kind of taught me how to stay sober in the long run. I'm very grateful for the program in Utah for getting me sober and getting me off of drugs. But I owe everything to Insight. They were the ones who taught me how to live, really.
What have you learned as a result of all this?
I've learned that there's nothing good that can come out of drugs and or alcohol. I have just as much fun as when I was on drugs and when I was on alcohol.
What message would you like to send to teens about using drugs?
I would like to send a message of fear, because it's absolutely something to be fearful of, especially for the parents. Be fearful of what can happen to your child.
We hope teens who watch this show will learn from your story and keep in mind how someone can become addicted. Thank you, Jordan.
Absolutely.
Mixing alcohol with medications or illegal drugs is extremely dangerous and can lead to accidental death.
Hi, my name's Sarah, and I'm here today with John, Tenny, and Alex, and we're discussing whether or not the drug use in movies and music has an effect on teens. So, John, what do you think?
I think that drug use and alcohol use in movies is a very powerful thing. It's very influential in teens. I know that I'm 20 years old now. Now, when I was in high school and when I was in junior high, I was seeing people smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. And like Varsity Blues, everyone's partying after the football games. And then, my high school, we started having big parties like that after the high school football games and the baseball games. And it was just, we all started doing it because we saw it on a movie. I mean, we never had those kind of parties before. And then we saw the movie, it was like gun-ho parties after every single game. So it's real influential.
I think it has a very big effect on them because of the music, and the music has harsh language in it, and movies have a lot of smoking and gangs and other alcoholic abuse. So teens think it's okay for them to do that, and it's not.
I think movies and songs definitely do play a big role because kids go out there and they watch the movies and they're listening to the songs every day. Like, you see a movie where someone's doing drugs and you see them having fun, they're partying, and you go, maybe I want to have that feeling too, let me go see what that's like. And their idols, the people that they listen to every day on their headphones in class and at home, they talk about doing drugs. And, they want to have that experience too. Maybe they want to feel what their idol is talking about, and so they go out and do that too.
I agree with you, actually, that it's a very big part of it, like the movies and music portraying it as a normalcy of teen society and what you do as a teen. And I think that a lot of teens just want to relate to that, and they feel that if they've never maybe experienced that maybe there's something weird with their life, when maybe they're missing the fact that it's not what it's all about.
Well, we can't just stop say it's because of the movies. It still ends up it's the kid's choice. But maybe if we have those people that are out there in the movies and idols, let the kids realize that that's just fantasy. It is a movie. It's not real life. And in real life that they're not making those same choices. Maybe get that idea out to the kids. Maybe they'll realize that drugs aren't always the answer.
I kind of seen both sides when I was growing up. I was one of the good kids. I got all good grades and everything. But I still partied a lot. And a lot of that was just because people have this persona that they think they have to fit. They see it on the TV, they hear about it. Eminem has a song called the Mushroom Song. It's all about doing mushrooms. I mean, what kind of stuff is that? I mean, we live in a world now where it's it seems like it's the normal sometimes to just be high or to be drunk or to smoke cigarettes, and it's not the normal. There's kids out there that are doing the right thing, and there's kids out there that are trying to do good, and I think it's not right that it's just thrown in their face day after day after day that that's the norm when it's really not. I mean, that's just what they want you to think.
I guess that about covers this topic. I'd like to thank you guys for all contributing your opinions and your feelings and life experiences on this. We all appreciated it, and thank you very much.
Now we show in this section that many functions can be approximated by polynomials, and that the polynomials instead of the original functions can be used for computations when the difference between the actual function value and the polynomial approximations is sufficiently small. Now tonight's homework is Taylor's formula. I want you to work on it very hard because we are going to be quizzed on it by the end of the week. I know you'll do well because you always do well, right? It's a little bit difficult at first.
This is my friend Rodney. This is my friend Rodney on heroin. This is Rodney on heroin. Rodney on heroin. Rodney on heroin. Rodney on heroin. Rodney. That was my friend Rodney.
Welcome back to Teens in Action. It's interesting to see how some kids don't realize that once they've started to use drugs and alcohol, they soon become involved in a vicious cycle, and drugs soon take over their entire lives.
And that's exactly why it's so important for parents to be involved in their kids' lives, so that they would be able to recognize if anything goes wrong. In our next segment, we sent our reporters out onto the streets with 2 police officers and 1 pair of goggles that simulate what it's like to be under the influence of alcohol.
What's true? Over 400 teens are arrested for drinking or for drunk driving every day in the United States. Every week, 60 young people die as a result of drunk driving accidents. Alcohol can permanently damage your brain. All of the above or none of the above?
I'd like to pick 4, and all of the above.
All of the above.
4, all of the above.
All of the above.
Number 4. I'd have to say all of the above.
4?
All of the above. The answer is all of the above. Tell me, alcohol can hurt you even if you're not the one drinking? True or false?
I believe that's true.
True. True.
True. True. True.
True.
True.
Cold showers and coffee will sober up a person that is drunk. False.
True.
False. I wouldn't know.
Well, not really. I don't think so. True.
False.
False.
If a person is under the age of 21 and is caught with alcohol, they will receive a fine of $250, be required to do community service, and have their driver's license suspended. Is that true or false?
All of the above, please.
Maybe all of them. True.
True. True.
It's all true.
All true. Binge drinking is drinking a large amount of alcohol in a short period of time. Which of these are a result of binge drinking? Violence and social problems, increased risk of becoming sexually assaulted, or death?
All of the above.
All of them? All of them.
All of the above.
Yep.
A.
Death. What is death?
Actually, all 3 of them are true.
Now that you've experienced walking under the influence, what would you do if you had to get in a car with someone who is drinking?
I wouldn't. It's just bad. Like, just walking gets you all screwed up. So imagine driving.
Not get in the car because they can't function right. I wouldn't because I can tell how much it changes a person's ways of viewing and being able to make good judgments and things like that. So I wouldn't even get in the car with something like that. Really?
I would tell them no because you get really bad vision and you could crash and die.
I would call my dad and ask him to pick me up instead and try to dissuade them from driving.
I wouldn't get in the car because I know that I put my life at risk.
It's good to know that most of the teens got the answers right. It shows that they have a basic understanding of what alcohol can lead to.
I'm impressed with the fact that teens would choose to call a parent rather than risk their own life. Earlier in the show, we heard from Jordan. He was one of the lucky ones. Unfortunately, most cases don't end this way. Our reporter, Nicole Diller, sat down with Pam and Garrett, who know all too well the devastation drugs can cause.
What happened to Garrett after he used ecstasy? He used ecstasy at a party. He passed out. His heart stopped. And the reason we have the brain damage is there was no oxygen to the brain. Ecstasy is a very, very dangerous drug. It's just one pill. It has killed many youth. It has put several in the same position Garrett is in. And it's something that nobody should even try or experiment with. Garrett was always an outstanding student and a top athlete. Freshman and sophomore year, he had over a 4-point grade point average. Garrett always was very serious, maybe because of his early childhood experiences, very driven. And when pot was offered to him, he thought, as a lot of people do, that he could just use it occasionally. You know, a little pot won't hurt anybody, but a little pot can destroy a lot of lives.
What are the long-term effects?
The long-term effects are we take one day at a time. He goes to a place called High Hopes in Orange County that specializes in brain damage, and he goes to Villa Esperanza Adult Care 3 mornings a week, and they work with him. And he goes to Cal State LA for speech therapy, and he goes to a doctor who does biofeedback. And between all those things, we've seen some progress, and we're hoping he'll progress, but it's not the life any youth would choose for themselves. And somehow young adults and young teenagers think that they're invincible and nothing will happen to them. And this is what happened to this young man.
What happened to Garrett after he used ecstasy?
The drug ecstasy he used supposedly once, from what we've understood from him and also his friends, and that was just enough. It stopped his heart, and when his heart stopped, he had no oxygen to the brain, and thus Garrett cannot talk or walk on his own. He thinks he understands. Luckily, he lived, but we have a long way to go, don't we? He surprised everybody. They actually told me he was brain dead. And as soon as they took the tube out, he would stop breathing.
What message would you like to send about drugs and those who may want to use drugs?
Well, Garrett and I have a message to send, don't we, Garrett? Yes, we have a message, and that's don't use drugs. Get the help you need if you start. Know that something can happen to you that you never expected to happen to you. Know that an articulate bassoonist who was a ranked tennis player now sometimes can't control his behavior. Sometimes the brain just doesn't tell him what to do correctly. He can get agitated, and other times he understands exactly where he is, and it's very sad, right? Yeah, when the eyebrows go up, that means yes. It's very sad to be in this position. And don't think for 1 minute that it couldn't happen to you. Okay, Garrett, we're done. Shall we go in the house and get something to drink? Okay. Walk right. Walk right. Garrett, don't lean back. You'll fall. You're on my toe. Garrett, don't lean back. Don't lean back. You're on my toe again. Walk.
Ecstasy increases your heart and blood pressure. Just one pill can make your heart and kidneys fail, causing death.
We had no warning signs about Danielle doing
Danielle
drugs.
was always one to talk to her friends about not doing drugs.
I didn't know what ecstasy was. I'd never heard the word. I do now. We know that she took ecstasy 3 times, that on the 3rd time it killed my daughter. It killed her.
She was a beautiful young lady. She tried ecstasy, and she paid the ultimate price, her life and ours.
Wow, that was very sad. It shows that taking drugs once can ruin your life. We would like to say thank you to Pam and Garrett for sharing their story with us.
Garrett's story is very sad. There are many ways to say no. In our next segment, we take a look at how teens choose to say no.
When teens are trying to get other teens to do alcohol or drugs, what do they say?
To me, they don't really ask you. They just kind of like hand gestures, like offer it to you, like with their hands and stuff. But I never take it.
That you'll be cool, you'll be a part of the gang.
Most likely, because nobody's really asked me, but most likely they will probably be like, oh yeah, look what I have, want to go do it with me or somewhere,
Like, do you want to try something with this, or it doesn't do nothing?
I don't know. No, I've never been asked that, so I don't know.
They usually just ask if they want to. And if you say no, they'll leave you alone.
They don't pressure you too much. They more or less just ask you if they want to do, They're really open if, you don't want to do it. They really don't care.
You say, oh, don't worry, you won't get addicted, or just try it, won't hurt you the first time, or something like that.
Or it's fun, or don't be like a baby or whatever, just do it.
Just get drunk, come on, it'll be fun. And then that's it.
They usually just say, come on, it's only just try it this one time and see how it feels and all this other stuff.
They usually say it's gonna make you feel good.
You're just expected to,
Have you ever been asked to do drugs or alcohol?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, never been offered drugs or alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah, I have. At a few parties, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yes. Telling them it's not cool and that they shouldn't do that.
They can just keep strong and not worry about what others think.
If you don't do drugs or alcohol, that's going to mainly influence other kids that look up to you not to do drugs and alcohol.
There should be more outside programs because no one listens in school.
Tell them what they have ahead of them, their potential, let them know what they have, that, drugs and alcohol, can alter that,
Wow, it seems as though most kids have been offered drugs at one point or another.
Fortunately, they say no because they have good reason to. Recently, we got into small groups to talk about drugs and alcohol. Hi, I'm Crystal Rochelle, and today I'm here with Maria, Jose, and Krista. And today our topic that we're talking about is why teens are afraid to speak up against drug use. So, what do you guys think?
Maybe it's because they feel like if they speak up, they're going to be rejected or they won't fit in.
Maybe it's because they're afraid they might sound like they're bugging their friends or being annoying or something like that.
Some people act different, so it depends on the person that you're talking to. Some people they want to get along, so they say, yeah, sure, why not?
For me personally, it was always easier to just go along with the crowd than to stand up for what I thought was right. And, it just looked like everybody was having a good time, but it doesn't always end that way.
Good evening. My name is Santosh Desai, and I'm here with some of my friends to discuss an issue that
everyone wants to know about. And the question is, why do some teens use drugs? Is it to get attention? What's the real answer?
I think kids use drug and alcohol for all different reasons. I think that some of them do it to fit in or to be cool, and I think some kids do it like to numb pain that they have in their lives, or people that they look up to do drugs, so they think like that's the way, or I just think it could be for all different reasons.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's in my opinion, it's more of a combination of reasons. In high school, I did it just because all my friends did it, and I was rebellious. And then after the age 17, when my mom passed away, I did it to numb pain of my mom passing away. So, yeah, it's more of a combination of reasons why.
I think teenagers do it because of stress and homework. You feel like there's too much work for you, or sometimes you don't belong. I guess you have to smoke or do weed or whatever just because it takes the stress and the pain away and it calms you down. So I think that's one of the reasons why people, or teenagers in general, do it.
We've established that you're going to get attention by doing drugs, but I want to know from your experiences, is it positive attention or is it negative attention? What kind of reactions do you get from your friends or from your teachers or from your peers?
Me personally, all the attention I got from it was negative. I never got positive attention. I started doing drugs really, really young, and once I got older, it was all negative attention. Like, I got kicked out of school. I ended up getting kicked out of my house, and I was running the streets doing drugs, and ultimately went to jail, and that's got to be negative. So, I think that, maybe the only positive attention I would get would be from my other friends that did do drugs. So
I got both positive and negative. Of course, positive from people who I was doing it with, and of course negative from my parents, from teachers, actually people who I looked up to, people who I admired, people who were my role models. I really let them down.
Like, what do you think was a turning point that made you kind of look at things and say, I'm doing this wrong, I need to change?
A turning point for me was being in jail and being alone, and all the homies and all the friends that you had outside, they're not there for you, and you have nothing, and looking around you and looking at, all kinds of older people in that same jail that been coming back and forth, and they lost their teeth and they're all cracked out, and they're just gross, and they haven't changed. And I just looked at myself and said, like, is that what I want to be? No, I want to do something with myself, and I still have a chance, and it's a really hard thing to do, but it's not cool, and I don't care what anybody says now.
I was 18 years old, living on the streets for 2 months, not having any money, not having any place to live, not having any belongings, not having any shelter, not having any food, living that lifestyle at the age of 18. And I already did a year in college. And after my mom passed away, I threw that all down the drain. I hated life. And so living on the streets, I was thinking there has to be more to life than living on the streets at the age of 18. I want a family, I want a wife, I want kids. I want more to life than just this. What can I do? Call my dad. Then he mentioned Teen Challenge. I said, hey, I don't have nothing to lose. Check it out. So now I'm in Teen Challenge right now.
All right, guys, I think your comments are great, and I really got some insight into what that answer is. And the question is, what makes us do these kind of things? What makes us do drugs? Is it the attention? And the answer is really there is no answer. There's a lot of different things that makes us do these kind of things. So I'd like to thank you guys all for giving your comments, and thanks. Good luck to you guys. Methamphetamine is often made with ingredients like battery acid and drain cleaner. Meth causes heart attacks, strokes, and serious brain damage. It can ruin your future.
I enjoyed hearing their personal experiences.
Yeah, many of their stories were quite touching. We've had a lot of information on this show, but there's a lot of information on the web as well. So grab a pen and paper and write down a few sites you might want to visit. Drugs wear off, but your problems won't. Addiction is a brain disease. You have no control over how a drug or alcohol will affect you. If you think your friend has a problem with drugs or alcohol, encourage them to stop and seek professional help. It's never too late to talk with your parents, doctor, counselor, teacher, or another adult you trust.
If you are looking for places that can help, Insight is a program for teens and their families. Give them a call at 800-599-8820. Teen Challenge offers faith-based, living, and outreach programs. You can call them at 805-399-2273 or visit teenchallenge.com. Burbank Outreach Center is a multi-agency resource for teens and their families. You can reach them at 558-5544. These websites have really good information. freevibe.com, Drug Free California at drugfreeca.com, and health.org.
I never thought I'd see it, but my son could look me straight in the eye and lie to my face.
I'm so intertwined with the drug, it's like almost impossible, it seems like, to be able to get away from it.
It broke my heart when he said, "I can't talk to you anymore."
I do hate ecstasy for everything it's done to me. It's ripped my family life apart, my life apart.
When I was using drugs, I felt so alone, but you stuck by me, and through those times on the streets, it's like you still accepted me even though I was doing all these things, and it's priceless to me and I'll never forget it. I don't know what I would have done without you, Mom. I don't know.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that this show gives you something to think about. Please know that there is always someone you could talk to.
There are many teens responsible for putting this show together. As the credits roll, you will hear what they learned from producing this show.
See you next time on Teens in Action.
I've learned that drugs can do more damage than what you think, and the possibilities of getting hurt are major.
Don't hang out with people who use drugs or alcohol, because you will use drugs or alcohol eventually and you will be under the pressure also.
During these last few weeks, I've learned that alcohol is as bad as any other drug. It can hurt you as bad as any other one, and it's also a gateway drug. And it kills a lot of people from drunk driving. It takes away not only the lives of the people who take it, but innocent people too.
Drugs are bad. Almost 80% in the U.S. use it, and some kids before high school use it and usually get screwed up by the age of 20 in early 20s.
One of the many things I've learned on this segment is that anybody can make the mistake of doing drugs, and it doesn't matter how close your family ties are, or if you have a strong family base, anyone can make the mistake. It doesn't matter how you're brought up, you can make a bad mistake, as in taking drugs. Just like Garrett, who Nicole interviewed, was a 4.0 student, had a very close and loving family. He had even 2 scholarships he was going to take. He had his life set out and planned for him, but he did make the mistake in taking drugs, and it totally destroyed all of his plans. So it can happen to anybody.
Personally, from Jordan's story, I learned that parents play a major role in preventing kids from using drugs.
Alcohol is a drug. Also, it is very addictive.
You know, the guy had like straight A's, and he had like 2 acceptances, and he just, I don't get why he screwed it up. I mean, maybe it was his friends that helped him do it, maybe he just discovered it on his own. I don't see why he does it, because he had a perfect life ahead of him. I mean, I would love to be that guy, except without the drug part. I was so jealous of him at that time, but I can't believe you do that stuff. It's just ludicrous, but I feel sorry for the guy now, because yeah.
If you use drugs or ecstasy once, it can really screw up your life. So there's no point in just taking it once when you know that there's a big risk in messing up your life.
No matter what some of us want to think, I think there's no good in drugs.
I learned that lots of negative attention comes from drugs, because some people, like, they don't care what kind of attention they get as long as they get some. So they don't care if they're getting in trouble or anything, as long as they get attention from their parents, and that's all they want. And that's what drugs will do to you. They'll get you in lots of trouble.
Okay, throughout the show, I've learned many things, and one major thing that I've learned is that a small dosage of any drug can harm you in a major way, such as paralyze you or get you brain damage.
Personally, I was taught through this show that drugs is not a solution. It's not a way out of a problem that you have. It's just a way to get you in a problem. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys don't do drugs, because I know most of you out there probably will just go, well, she's telling me not to do something, I'll just go and do it. So I'm gonna ask you one question. Why do it?
Oh my God!
Do you have a problem with your friends driving recklessly? With your friends endangering your life? I'm here to tell you that reckless driving is the #1 cause of teenage deaths. But with new and improved Slow Down, you don't have to die.
He's right. We should slow down.
In the real world, there is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up.
Kim, pay attention.